Hey guys, this is Vicky with Southern Cross Recreation. I found this little item at Goodwill, and when I first seen it, it was $5.99. And when I seen it, I was like, I knew exactly what I wanted to make out of it. So my daughter was getting rid of some jeans, and so I was like, I'm gonna save these and put these back. And so I went ahead and grabbed them and just cut one of the legs off of the jeans, and then I cut the seam on one side halfway up. So then what I did is I went ahead and did some Surebonder, and I'm going to make a little pair of pants for this. If you haven't guessed already, we're going to make a scarecrow for the fall. And so taking these little pair of pants, these little jeans, we're just going to create him some legs. So all I did is I took some Surebonder, and then once I got the two pieces in place, then I took some polyfill, and then we're going to stuff the legs. Now the pants already had the rips in it and holes and all that thing, so it just looked perfect for a scarecrow. And so what I did is I grabbed some raffia and then just kept folding it until I got the thickness that I wanted. Now I wish I'm going to change the concept or the way that I do the arms, and I wish I had done them on the legs because I burnt myself a couple times, but it was a little difficult getting it up in there. So what I would suggest, and you'll see me do it on the arms, is take a piece of twine. When you get the top part of your raffia all together, tie it off with a piece of twine, and then that way it gives it some stability, and it also helps it to have some stiffness in order to get it up into the fabric. So don't do it just like this. Make sure you tie it off with twine, and I'll show you here in just a minute when we do the arms. Okay, then what I did is I just took some polyfill, just filled the other leg, and then you'll notice it was kind of like poking out where the rips and stuff were, so I had to really work with that. And that's where I really wish I had done the twine, because like I said, it's a little difficult to try to get that big piece of twine up in that leg. It's doable. Now I did want to tell you, you may not be able to find obviously one of these. I just call it a jewelry holder because you could put necklaces and pins and all that thing on it, but you may not be able to find one of these. We could definitely do this same technique with a dowel rod and a piece of wood for the bottom. So just drill a screw through the bottom of your piece of wood, a long enough screw to where it catches the dowel rod at the top, on the base. And then you can also create the arms and stuff the same way. So you could definitely do this out of a dowel rod. Okay. Then what I did is I took some muslin, folded it in half and folded it again, and then cut me a hole for the head to go through. Now I know all my seamsters are cringing right now, but this is how I was making his little shirt. I just did a curve, pushed the fabric down, and then I just took my scissors and just cut on the outside of the glue, and that was his shirt. So I know there's probably 1,000 ways better to do it, but he's a scarecrow. So here is where I was telling you about the twine to tie off the top, because you definitely want to have that stability. I didn't have it, like I said, at the bottom, and so I really wish I had. So these little knobs right here, this is where I'm going to glue that twine and that raffia right to it, and that way I can close up the shirt, and perfect, I have little arms. And like I said, you could definitely do this with a dowel rod, a couple dowel rods and a piece of wood, and then did the same thing on the other side, and then closed it up. Took a piece of twine and then tied it like a rope around his waist. I didn't really like the twine, so what I did is I unbraided it, so it kind of gave it a little bit more character, and like it had been frayed and kind of like out in the sun for a while, and it's probably rotting kind of thing. That was what I was going for, because I didn't really like just the two pieces hanging down. So I just think it kind of gave it a little bit more character. Now the next thing that I'm going to show you is some fabric from Dollar Tree. I did get this last year, but they have all kinds of different colors and patterns, and I mean, you may have some scrap on hand, But all you're going to do is you're just going to make some little patches for the shirt and also for the little pants there. I ended up making that a little pocket right there. And then I just took this little sunflower, frayed the edges, and then we're going to just use your Surebonder and put that on wherever, honestly, wherever you choose. And I just put a few of these on there, so I mean you could do as many as you choose to. Now I needed a hat, and I had this in my craft stash, and I thought this would be perfect for me to kind of do one out of felt. So I basically just laid it down and traced the circumference to fill the bottom part of it, which is actually the top, and it'll make sense here in a minute. So I cut it in half, and so this like little drain thing, the little knob part goes down in the drain. So this is actually the top, but it'll be the bottom of my hat. So hopefully that makes sense. And then you're just going to cut a little slit in it so that way you can fit his head in there. And then the other thing that I did is I grabbed a larger piece of felt and set that aside because I needed to get these popsicle sticks to dry. And so I grabbed those in some antique wax, and then you can basically do a color brown, whatever color brown you have as well. These little stamps, you guys know I love these. These are like my absolute favorite. I have the link for Amazon. If you do want supplies, just message me supplies. And what I did on here is I put Stay Away Crows, and you'll see exactly why I put that. Obviously because he's a scarecrow, but there's another thing we're going to add to this. It's super cute. I took some of my ink pad and just kind of made it really dirty. Once I got looking at this, it was cute to make them out of popsicle sticks, but I really kind of wanted it to look more like, you know, somebody just grabbed a stick from the garden to make a sign. And so I changed that at the end, and I'll show you what I did. So the thing that I wanted with this little floppy hat was I wanted it to look like it had some pleats, some, you know, just some folds in it. And so I just did it with my hot glue, kept pushing it down, kept holding it. And then once I got it all dry, the glue was drying. Look how cute it came out. I just thought it came out super cute. Just cut the excess of your felt off, or you could use fabric. Now these little sunflowers I got at Hobby Lobby in the craft section, which I thought were really cute. Glued that one to the top of his hat. Now this is the way I originally thought I was going to leave him. But the more I looked at him, it was just, there's that bag of buttons, and I have the link for those. You guys love those buttons. I love those buttons. I'm going on 3 years using those buttons, and I craft with them all the time. So we're going to add some buttons to his shirt. But the more I looked at him, he just needed a face. Like, I just felt like, because this looks like the back of him, but I'm putting buttons on it. And I know I'll get those questions, because I do get those questions all the time. Well, it looks funny because he's backwards, blah, blah, blah. I get it. So he needed a little face. And so here is the little stick. So I grabbed the stick that I used. Now you can grab one from the yard, but remember I told you grab these at Christmas time. These were a stash that I put back from last year. They're in the craft section, and look how sweet he is. These are also at Hobby Lobby in the fall section. These are little crows, and I just thought he was adorable. I love his little face, like he is up to something. And so I cut his feet apart so that I could bend him, because they are like together. And so that way I could wrap him around the base of my little stand. Now, of course, I have to add all my little details to make it with, you know, give it some character. So I grabbed some moss, and the easiest way for me to do this was to stand it up. So I apologize for the view right here, but I did want to show you kind of what I did. I just put the moss directly right onto the base, and then did the same thing on the back. Just on the top part, not on the bottom. But again, you could use a piece of wood and do the same technique. And then I just kind of placed him in there, and his tail fit perfectly on the section on the bottom. But I did put a little bit of hot glue there. But I love his little face. He's just adorable. Then I just grabbed another one of the sunflowers, put it down at the bottom. And then here's where that buffalo check came in, because I wanted to do a little bit of the black and white traditional. I feel like it's traditional for a scarecrow to put on his hat. And then put one just like on his arm. And again, like you could put so many of these on there, or don't put them at all, like just whatever you choose to do. So the only way that I figured that I could do a face was to do it on the muslin, which would kind of match the theme of kind of what I was going for. Just hand drew a little face. I don't claim to be an artist, but I did think it came out kind of cute. And so I just basically just hand drew him on there. Now, you could probably totally do whatever you choose to. And then all I did was do the Sure Bonder around him, and then take the top of my piece. And then I also wanted some straw to come out to cover the base of that piece that I'm going to sit him on. And then just put some straw, like straw's coming, like he's stuffed with straw. Is he not the cutest? I think he came out super cute. And then we're just going to push him right down into, and then we're going to attach his hat. And y'all, how sweet did this come out? I hope you guys enjoyed this. Make sure you pass it down the road for me, which means share, like, and comment. If you want supplies, just message me supplies. And I hope you guys enjoyed this, and let me know what you think. And I will see you next time. For more, you can visit Southern Cross Recreations on YouTube.